Now this fact that Yaakov was in Egypt for 17 years is very significant, because the word 17 is the numerical equivalent of the word tov. The number 17 is equal numerically to tov, which means good. Tes is 9, vav is 6, 15, and vet is 2, that's 17. So 17 equals tov, good. So those were the best years of Jacob's life. You have to ask yourself, why were these the best years of Jacob's life? Jacob, for many years, maybe 60 years or 70 years, found himself in the halls of Torah under the tutelage of Shem and Ever. For many, many years, Jacob was in his father's household, Yitzchak's household. He saw his grandfather Abraham. Why weren't they the best years of his life? Yaakov had a beloved wife, Rachel, and she bore for him a beloved son, Yosef. Why weren't those years, those early years of Yosef's life, the best years of Yaakov's life? Why does he single out, the Torah single out, that the best years of Yaakov's life were those years spent in Las Vegas? The Las Vegas of that generation was Egypt. Egypt was prosperous and had the worst reputation when it came to Menschlichkeit, when it came to any kind of morality. They were spiritually depraved. And yet, Yaakov finds this to be the best years of his life. And the answer is because Yaakov established a yeshiva to teach his children and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren that they should follow the path of Avraham Avinu, of Yitzchak and Yaakov. And because he was able to influence the next generation to make sure that there would be Jewish continuity, these were better years than all of the 70 years that he spent in the halls of Shem and Aver, who were the biggest Rosh Yeshivas of their generation. They were prophets of God. Because when a person ensures that the children of the Rabbi Shalom, which is every Jewish child, ensures that that child will become a Jew the way it's supposed to be, and saves that child for posterity, and those are the best years and the most productive effect of that person's talents and that person's studies and that person's soul, bigger than anything he did before. The only thing that might be greater than creating Baalei Tshuva is the self-sacrifice that a person has for the sake of God. Martyrdom. That said, why am I saying what I'm saying? There is a certain individual who sits somewhere near the rabbinate of the chief rabbi of Israel and has his ear and determines not who is a Jew, but who is a Rav and who is a rabbi. And this individual, I told him I disagreed with him. But he is determined to passel, to invalidate any person, any Rav who's involved in kiruv, in bringing Jewish lost souls back to their ways. He is considered not kosher to be a dayan on gerus, a judge on gerus. Secondly, any pulpit rabbi, he said this to me openly, any pulpit rabbi is suspect because he has to answer to a congregation. This runs contrary to all of the tshuvas that I saw that Rav Moshe Zecher Tzadik Livrocha wrote to the Rabbonim concerning gerus. Never did I see any such question about the validity of the pulpit rabbi, whether he could do gerus or not. In 30 years of dealing with Rav Grubner Zatzal And before him, Reb Lezer Levin Zatzal, I never heard the word that a pulpit rabbi could not be Isaac in Geirus. I have a small pulpit and I'm a kiruv rabbi. They were mitzaref me to the Bezdin without any question. They were mitzaref Rav Silverberg without any question, my colleague. I have never heard such stupidity, which runs against the Torah. And this man sits in an office. He's never had to have self-sacrifice. He's never done anything for Yiddishkeit. He sat on his behind for all of his life. Doesn't know what it is to go ahead and go out and to try to create some money in order to create an organization so that people should come back to Yiddishkeit. Doesn't know the struggles of a person who's involved in kiruv. Doesn't understand them. And he decides that anyone who's involved, irrespective of the person's character, irrespective of the person's knowledge, irrespective of the way he's considered by other people, he went out and he invalidated one of the greatest tzaddikim. I consider him a tzaddik, one of the greatest tzaddikim that I know in this generation, who happens to be a Talmud Muvik of the Rabbi, and before then was a Talmud in Yeshiva Torah V'das, and one of the best Talmidim. And I believe he can better learn for them. He could learn Torah better than you. To go ahead and invalidate a person who's involved in bringing Jewish children back runs Heipech HaTorah, the opposite of Torah, because Torah determines the validity of a person based on his character, based on his actions. The only time you could say that a person who's involved may be invalid because he has a personal interest if he's the person's personal teacher. Then he might have some negiyas, then he might have some personal issues. But if he's not the personal teacher, he's there in the city, and people need to have geirus, need to be accepted as Jews, he should become invalid. And if a person is a pulpit rabbi, he's invalid. You're demeaning the whole position of the rabbinate over all these years. Nobody's ever questioned that. Chadoshim ikarev bo. And what do? You propped up a person who is a treifnyak, a person who is a chazer, a person who has no character at all, who is found with his pants down. And that's the person that you supported. That's the person that you worked with. And how dare you puzzle other people? You have an option. The option is you should do tshuva. And you should see the truth of what people have to go through, what they have to live with when they go ahead and go in those in being mikara and bring people closer to God. And understand that a person is based upon and judged by his character, not by political position, not by your own bias. A ben Torah could be a treifnak, and a mikara v'kira v'rechoikin could be a ben Torah on the highest level. You can't make a single standard to puzzle people. If you will change your ways, we will work with you. And if not, we will oppose you. And I will ask, and I ask anyone seeing this video to bring it to the attention of the chief rabbinate in Eretz Yisrael, that this is an outrage, to take people who are b'nei Torah and puzzle them because you want to put your people into the control of geirus. And that's why you propped up that particular maneuver. And that's why you're associated with the maneuver. And you should resign yourself because of your association instead of puzzling others. But you still can do tshuva. But I ask those people who see this video to bring it to the attention of the people in Eretz Yisrael, to put pressure on this person either to resign or to change his ways immediately. A guten Shabbat.